Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy CIZZY from the Culture Talks podcast, the host, the man with the plan. I don't know what else I can say about myself. Let me not be arrogant today. We're back with another podcast, and I'm just excited to bring another dope guest on here. Every single week, I tell you guys, listen, I'm going to bring a fire guest next week. And I don't think I've failed you guys yet because I haven't got any complaints. And I mean, how could I fail you guys? So thank you guys for tuning in again. I'm so grateful for any listeners we have because none of you guys actually have to listen. So I'm filled with gratitude every time I hear feedback from you guys and anytime I see that I have some listeners, and just happy. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you see the beautiful guest to the left of me. If you're listening, I'll let her introduce herself starting now.
Hey, what's up? My name's Jay, aka SkcatterBrain. Am I going into like?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I am a freelance now creative director, specializing in a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Anything in the art realm, I can pretty much do. So yeah.
We love to hear it. So my first question I knew I was going to ask you today is, where did you get the name SkcatterBrain?
Ooh, of course. So in high school, I was trying to do everything. I mean, from swimming to track to prose to, I mean, everything. I was in every club, dance team. I tried it all. And so I remember my stepdad at the time was like, telling my mom, like, she cannot do everything. She's a scatterbrain. And I was like, I overheard, and I'm like, whatever. I'm going to try to do everything anyway. And so, like, that kind of carried on with me. And so I tried to, brand myself so many different ways. And, scatterbrain just kept coming back because he would just say it. And I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to take that and I'm going to own it because that's what I am.
I love it. It's always fabulous to learn about people's names or where they got their company name from or their brand name, because it's always an interesting story. And being that a lot of the times how we meet people nowadays is via social media, a lot of us don't really know your guys' anybody's real name until we in case their Instagram name's their real name, like me. But aside from that, it's when I got the email, when I got the email back, I was like, because, it pops up on your phone. I'm like, who is Jay Collins? I was like, who? Because I completely know you as SkcatterBrain on
SkcatterBrain, yeah. Most people do. It's so funny when they walk up to me like, hey, you SkcatterBrain? And I'm like, I immediately always laugh first. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. But my name is also Jay. So
I love it. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your origin story. Where'd you grow up? Do you have any siblings? A little bit about, culture, ethnicity. Just talk about you. Share with the people, where you come from, how you were raised. Just jump into it.
Okay. Let's go. I was born in Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County, stand up. But my dad, he's from the Missouri side. So I was kind of like a split baby. Even though I was born in Kansas, I was on both sides. Grew up, my parents split. My dad went to Denver. My mom stayed in Kansas City. So I was bouncing back and forth throughout my entire life. So travel and culture and things like that was also always something to me. Growing up, let's see, what else? I don't know. To me, my culture and my history has made me who I am, including my mom, my dad, all my siblings. I have several siblings. I want to say we're at 11 right now, but mixed because I have right. I have step siblings, and it's just a big happy family. I am Black, African American. I got some mixy things in there like German and Irish and stuff a little down the line, but I'm Black to the T. Let's see. I forgot what else you said.
Yeah, no, you're good. Speaking of your siblings, do you have any siblings that you were really close to growing up? Like, like for example, I have 8 brothers and sisters. I grew up with a relatively big
Yes.
family, but I definitely only really grew up around 2 of them because the rest were so much older than me that they were already in college by the time I started hitting my, older years where they would want to even hang out with me.
Right.
So yeah, do you have any siblings that you kicked it with a lot or maybe learned a lot from?
It's kind of funny because I'm that like smack dab in the middle kid where I was at one point really close to my oldest brother, and he's like 10 years older than me. And that's because we were in the same house until he left. So then I was by myself. So I felt like the only kid. And then I had 2 more siblings younger than me, and then a bunch of cousins that I claim as sisters and brothers and stuff. But like, and now I'm close to them as well. So it's like, I teeter tottered.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And being that 2020, the most crazy year a lot of us have experienced, just completed, and we've moved into a new time. Hopefully, we'll see.
Right.
um, I wanted to touch on your reflections of 2020 for Scatterbrain, for Jamie Collins. Like, what are some of your reflections for 2020? What have been some of the most challenging moments, and maybe some of the most happiest moments that you've experienced throughout 2020? If you wouldn't mind sharing.
We getting deep. Yeah, okay. So I would say the most challenging, I guess I'll start with challenging moments would have been like everything that transpired during 2020. Like I was cool with COVID, but it was like how it made people around me react. And I'm an empath. They say we're sensitive, but I just feel for everybody and anybody close to me. So I was feeling so many different emotions. And at the time, I just could not bear all those emotions. And even still throughout the year, I would have spurts of it happening. And so, like, the challenge for me was to, like, release, to let go of, to know that everybody is in their space, but, like, to not harbor everybody's feelings was the challenge for me because it affected a lot of my relationships, my personal relationships, and nobody ever really wants that. But I would say my like biggest like accomplishments of 2020 was like making it through 2020. Like I lost all my contracts in March. I remember the day like it was yesterday because one of my contracts was like, "Hey, drop your laptop off, we're done." And I was like, "What?" Like just like that. And so then it just a domino effect. Every single client just boom, boom, boom. And I was like, what am I going to do? I wasn't one of those lucky ones that got the unemployment checks or the stimulus check. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, I had to fend for myself again for another time in my life where I felt like I was climbing and I was getting to that peak of like, yes. And then it just smacked me off. And I was like, oh, humble little piece of pie. But it was bittersweet leaving 2020 because it taught me so much. Like you never ever stop learning, and I learned so much in 2020.
I love that. I love that. Obviously, I don't love that you had to go through, through so much, you know, challenging situations. But like you said, man, like going through experiences like that are really just character builders at the end of the
Exactly.
day. And that, like you said, slice of humble pie is like the perfect way for God, or for the listeners who don't believe in God and believe in something called the universe or whatever you believe in, like no disrespect to anybody, but like whatever it might be, that's how they like humble us, or how that energy humbles us. And it's just like, yo, you were doing a good job. Shout out to you. But understand that not everything's in your control. So let me just knock you over the head real quick.
Exactly.
To remind you to be grateful and then get back to hustling. So, um, speaking of like, losing all your contracts, how'd you pivot? Like, work wise, how did you pivot to survive? Like, I know that had to be, I was blessed enough to be able to receive the assistance from, weekly 600s and the stimulus. So that's how I fended by while also trying to figure out other things. But, yeah, speak on that.
Man, so I pivoted into like, woe is me. But I was like, okay, F all that. I'm like, I gotta get to it. Like, let's put these hustle shoes on. So I tried Instacart. I was like, I don't care about being out there. If I can help somebody, boom. Actually, rewind. First, I was volunteering because I had a little extra money to just hold me over. And I didn't think it was going to last the whole year, you know what I'm saying? But so I was volunteering. I remember Mark had made like, hey, we need volunteers up at the school, like pass out food. I was like, bet I'm there every day if you need me. That stopped. So then that's when I pivoted into Instacart. I was like, oh, I can help, with the groceries. That's fun. I don't mind that. Even that was just, it became stressful because of the people, everybody's real stickler. And I understood because COVID's very serious. But I was just like, okay, so what else can I do? So I'm like, you know what? Let me go back to what I know. And so I went back into like helping people with social media. And so that kind of pivoted me into another contract with a political agency in the summer. And so it was just a small contract, but it helped me get through. Thank you, God, universe, all beings. But it got me through, and I was able to like really like gain more exposure, gain more experience, gain more knowledge. I was really a student of 2020, and I just learned from it and kind of just kept pivoting and making my way through the maze.
I love the language you just used there, saying you were just a student of 2020. Because, like, listeners, like, I know a lot of you guys just want to skip over what happened in 2020, but we really do need to process that, because for everyone that went through this year, as much as it may feel like we're overhyping the difficulty of the year, we're not. A lot of people went through a lot of traumatic experiences, whether it was death of family members, whether it was sickness themselves, whether it's loss of work, whether it's dealing, like you were stating, dealing with other people's stress and like empathizing with them, but that causing some emotional distress on self. Like, so many people went through a lot, and we need to process this year before we can really attack and grow through 2021. So as much as I didn't want to talk about 2020 in every episode in January, I am going to, because we do need to process and have conversations about it to really navigate and figure out different ways to deal with that. And I think the language you used there, saying you were a student of 2020, and just realizing that as a student, there's lessons, there's lessons after lesson after lesson. Most of the time in class, if you're in school right now, you're going through more than one lesson a week, and you have to figure out you have to analyze the lesson. You have to figure out what you need to do to research and prepare and find your way through that. And I think that's all 2020 was. Like, everything we got hit with, whether it was a death, whether it was a lot, or like a loss of, a job, whatever it was, we had to take that lesson, get hit in the face with it, but then analyze the situation and figure out how we were going to utilize that test to catapult us over the obstacle and move on. So I really love that language of being a student of 2020. I'm going to steal that.
Take it, it's yours.
So I want to double back. I want to talk about your early interest when you were a young kid. So think about 10-year-old, 10-year-old you, 12-year-old you. Like, what do you remember being interested in? What do you remember thinking you were going to be when you grew up?
Honestly, and I've never told anyone this, but I wanted to dance. I loved to dance. I choreographed dances for my little cousins and made them do them every summer. Shout out to y'all. Love y'all very much for being my little, not flunkies, my little babies. But I wanted to dance. I wanted to be a dancer. So I'm not sure what else I thought about at that time other than, art here and there. I was always into some sort of art, but dancing was my thing.
I love that. Do you think there was like any inspiration? Was it like, you remember them early 2000s years? I mean, music was popping. We had a whole bunch of, I mean, if we talking about, we had boy bands that was doing all these dance moves. We got Missy Elliott. We got Sierra.
Elliott. Oh, for sure. And even Michael Jackson. I used to watch a lot of his videos. I remember specifically, my mom used to tell me that one when he was a pharaoh in the music video, like my mom would like stop what she's doing, go handle some business, because she knew I was going to sit there and watch the whole thing. And I know it's because of the dance aspect. Like, watch my dad dance around, my family, we all gathered around music and danced. So guess that's why I thought I was gonna be a dancer. I also took dance as well, so.
I love it, and I think you kind of you still mess around with that. I consider the rollerblading dancing, in my opinion, and that's why I want to transition into that. Like, when did you start roller skating? Like, when did that become a vibe of yours? I don't know if I saw you doing it the whole year, or if you've always done it, or whatever it is, but it's a vibe. First off, definitely like enjoy watching those videos. I'll be like relaxing. Like, I'll like wake up and see the video from the day before, and I'm just like, oh, that's a vibe. Like.
Thank you.
So speak on that. Where do the rollerblades come into life?
Honestly, if you live in Wyandotte County, all we had was skate land. So we was always skating. I never really took it serious, but I knew how to skate. My mama, you saw her calves, she was an avid skater. So I guess I got some of them skate genes from her, but the dance aspect helped me be able to skate. So, just knowing your balance and all that stuff. But I picked it back up. Like, I would always go skating here and there, like go back to the range just to make sure I could still skate. But COVID, it was just like, I'm bored. What else can we do? I can sit with myself and my thoughts all day, but now I want to do something. So I'm like, I'll go buy me some skates. It's about time to do some skating. And so, yeah, that's what happened.
I love it. That's funny that you actually because I remember when I was a young kid. So I'm from the Missouri side, but I remember, actually, this is like a monumental moment in my head right now. I remember when I was maybe like my junior youth years, like 9 to like 13. I remember I used to go with like my church like mentor. He wasn't like a pastor or anything, but like he would like basically take all the young black kids from the church and like have like only the black like boys. Like, we'd all like come into like a classroom, and he'd like basically mentor us on like things that are going on in the world, teach us how to deal with like police situations, teach us how to like be a man, teach us how to like write letters and essays, and like just like how to shake hands correctly and everything like that. And like, he would teach us all those things, but on Fridays he would get us Chinese food, and he would take us to Wyandotte to go skating. And I just remembered it was probably the spot that you just talking about.
Yeah, that was it.
That's crazy, because it used to be packed. We would
always.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so but the reason why that popped in my head is because I'm like, wow, everybody I've been seeing skate from like the Kansas City area, from the creative community, is from Wyandotte. And I was like, oh, I just put it all together when you mentioned that. So yeah. So I appreciate you dropping those gems to remind me of what's put me on culture out here.
Hey, no problem.
Man. So for 2021, I know we don't know what's gonna happen, and I know we kind of are, a lot of us are kind of excited for the new year, but also a little hesitant, like, oh, what's about to happen? What's about to go on? But outside of that energy, man, what are your plans for 2021? What are some things you want to accomplish? What are some things you want to see, manifest themselves in your year this year?
Honestly, I just want to see more community. It's going to be really hard if we still have to be behind computers, but more community, some sort of community bondage where it's not, oh, he from KC Mo and she from KC, like F all that. We all just made it through a year that could, who knows what this year may be. So it's like, let's just drop all that. Let's just be loving. I mean, I hate to be the love maker, but it's like love does cure a lot more than it harms. So just more community this year. And then for me personally, as far as like jobs and stuff like that, I just want to keep elevating and learning. Before I was just like, yeah, I'm trying to elevate. And it was like, again, that pie smack. There you go. Here's some humble pie. You need to keep learning as well, because this next generation is so quick. They may not have social skills, but they are quick. And you gotta be on your toes if you want to make it through the next year. Because like a lot of people chilled on 2020. And no shame to them, but like, just be ready for 2021 is all I got to say, because I got my armor on.
I love it. That's the energy. Yes. For sure. And you said you do a lot of things, like all things creative. Do you have like a favorite, I don't know, category or genre of work in the creative world that you enjoy most? Maybe you don't even like get to do it a lot, but is there anything specifically that you enjoy doing the most? And if so, what might that be?
I like putting stories together. So more so on the lines of creative direction, having a storyline, something that will grab your attention, keep your attention, and then leave you satisfied at the end. I feel like movies, of course, do that the best. I study movies a lot, just to kind of help keep me on top of my type of storytelling. Um, so yeah, I would say storytelling, creative direction is my most favorite thing to do because I'm able to capture somebody's thoughts or a completely dope idea that just sprung out of the earth.
I love it. I love it. And I want to dive in a little bit deeper into that. So, say a client comes to you, they want to hire you to be a creative director for, let's say, I don't know if you do this a lot, but I'm going to give you a challenge. Let's say their music video. Okay. So, let's say Ashawn comes to you and he's like, yo, I want to hire you as a creative director for my next video. What exactly does that process look like? How do you onboard a client? How do you navigate finding out their interest and what they're looking for? Like, what questions are you asking? And the reason I'm asking this question is there's a lot of creative directors that are yet to be creative directors that might be listening to this podcast, and they're trying to figure out what their approach is going to be when they finally get out of their comfort zone and decide to pursue it for real. So maybe you can just drop a little bit of game of how you go about, navigating the interests of a client and how to provide what they want.
Okay, so if Aisha, whatever Aisha, hit me up, was like, hey, I need you to come help me with this music video idea, I would first hit him up, be like, hey, send me the song first and foremost. As a creative director, you want to feel it, touch it, taste it, hear it, everything. You want to dive so deep into the song that you know every single lyric, almost to the point, so that you can actually dissect the song and create a story. Now, if he already has a story, great. I'm here to just help enhance it. But if he doesn't, that's when I would dive into trying to create an idea or a storyline behind the entire song. They're taking it into mapping it out so that he can visually see it. People hear things a lot, but a lot of people love to see stuff. So even if it's just pictures, things thrown together like on a mood board to give them a look and feel. Then, go into even deeper, creating like a brand guide or in a sense of music videos, like a music video guide where you have that entire music video laid out, how you see it in different steps, like who's going to be your stylist, who's going to be your set director, who's going to be the models in the video, what locations are we going to do? Like, you just want to dive so deep that they ain't got to worry about nothing but paying you, to handle all that stuff, put it together. I know I scatterbrained on that a little bit, but I was trying to fit as much in to that as I could. But yeah.
That was perfect. And are there any, like, what's the difference between like being a creative director for maybe like I just mentioned, a music video shoot or a photo shoot, or like for a commercial? Like, is it similar, like a similar breakdown? Are you going about it the same way? So I'm gonna give you another scenario, and if it's the same thing, it's totally fine. But like, say Chris Good for Ruby Jeans, it's like, yo, like, we are trying to create a dope commercial, dope 2-minute commercial for our new drink our new menu we're unveiling. Are you going about it in a similar way?
Similar, but I would say I would consider Chris Good, shout out Chris Good, a corporate client. So in that case, I would go in and sit down with him if, COVID is fine with that, masks included. Go in, sit with him, talk to him about the brand and whatever it is that he's releasing. That way, I can't really dive into a a brand with a at the same way. You could just get a song, kind of digest it, research. But I would do more of that in person, to talk about exactly maybe what he wants out of it, the goal behind the commercial, of course, just different things like that. But usually it's along the lines, same lines, just tweaks here and there.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so I want to talk about, like, I don't know. So basically when I look at your IG, I don't know if like it's like some self-portraits, you're taking your photos for yourself, or if you're doing like modeling for other brands. So like outside of photography, outside of rollerblading, outside of creative direction, what are some other things you are doing? Are you modeling? Are you producing any podcasts? Are you singing? Who knows? Like, what are some other things that you're involved in right now?
Ooh, okay. He digging for the culture. Okay, so I do model. I used to model back in the day, in my younger years. But now I'm diving back into it as a creative healing form, because I don't know, as a photographer, I can capture all day, but sometimes I want to really do what I'm trying to tell my model to capture. You know what I'm saying? Or in my case, I love fashion, so I'm into fashion as well. I really love putting on clothes, and if people can dress me up in their stuff and take pictures of me, I'm down. I model. I also do fashion. What else? Oh, I dibble and dabble in music just because it's around me a lot. That's all I'm gonna say with that. But stay tuned. Okay. I don't sing, but just stay tuned.
Okay, we definitely gonna stay tuned. Don't worry about that one. Right. Nah, I love it. Yeah, I was gonna comment on your fashion. Like some of your photos, like hard, like the outfits you got on, and like just the colors and just your overall aura is like fire. That's one of the reasons I like follow you and just like consume your content, whether it's a photo or it's your. I mean, you might have been doing them for a while, but I just started seeing your like little, inspirational posts, just sharing some gems, whatever's on your mind. I really appreciate it in the aura that you provide. So, it was mandatory to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Yes. So I wanted to ask you, in regards to Kansas City, man, what do you see for the future of Kansas City? What do you want to see happen in this area? I know you mentioned earlier you want to see more community. But how do you foresee that happening? Say COVID's no longer a thing. What are some things you'd like to see happen in the Kansas City area?
That community thing, man. Like, I just feel like the art creative community is lacking here. I lived in LA, I lived in Florida, I dibbled and dabbled and lived in Denver and in Texas a little bit. And just to see the community of people that are in the creative industry, that they support each other constantly, like no matter what. Like, yeah, every city has their niches and little ticks and things, but it's still community there. And it's here, but I just want it to be stronger. So I'm going to do my best, whatever I can, to help Kansas City community, especially while I'm here.
I love it. Just quick shout out to Wasteland Sessions. I know Kai Colors and Jesse just launched their Wasteland Sessions on New Year's Eve, and that was dope to see, man. Like, dope to see just the interest and the desire to bring artists together around the city to really connect and create together. And one of the beautiful things I appreciated about that too is just like, not just in Kansas City, but all over, we see so much violence, unfortunately, in our communities. And it's all, really just whack in general. But, based off of what side of the city you're from, or what beef is going on between your families, or whatever it might be, like, it's dope to see people from all different sides of Kansas City in one room, just to create for the culture. You know what I'm saying? You got people from the east, from the north, like you got people from South Kansas City, like you got people from all over in those sessions. And I'm sure there's going to be so many other creatives that create the same environments. And before COVID, we had I'm blanking. You've done some work for them. Mouthful.
By design. Yeah, those were gonna, man. Yeah.
hard though.
I know.
The new magazine's fire, but the event that they had right before COVID is where I really got in touch with the community out here, and I think COVID definitely put a pause on a lot of plans people had. But I think based off of what you just mentioned, there's so many people that are interested in creating a stronger community here. And I can't wait to see what 2021 and 2022 bring to Kansas City and the unity of not only our people, but just the city in general. So for sure, I love it. So I have a few more questions for you, and then I'll let you chill. You know, I'll let you off the hook.
I appreciate it.
But I wanted to ask you, going into 2021, how important is your physical health and your mental health, especially after experiencing what just happened? What are some strategies you plan on implementing going into this year in regards to maintaining physical, mental, and spiritual health?
I'm going out of my way to make sure I stay consistent with all of my health. Health is huge to me, but it's become even bigger to me because of COVID. I was blessed not to be sick over the entire year. Blessed. Let's keep it that way. But it was because I kept up with my health. And it was like, okay, let's take it even up a notch. So now I'm incorporating even more health into everything, cooking more with not so much meat products, because I am a plant-based foodie, you know what I'm saying? So, cooking more, like exploring more plant-based options that, aren't just the same things all the time, because that's what really gets us. And then, mental health. Oh my gosh. Like, again, last year, just a couple of days ago, was tough on the mental. And waking up, meditating every morning before I even look at that phone is real. Like, not touching anything electronic until after I meditate and get my water in. I have to do it, because in order for me to see clearly, I have to see clearly. You know what I'm saying? And that means doing everything it takes to make sure I stay healthy.
I love that. And I saw a few smoothie concoctions on your Instagram page. And so, we got to talk about that. What are your go-to ingredients for a morning or evening or post-workout smoothie? Like, what is Jamie Collins throwing in her smoothie?
I typically throw a little bit of everything that's in the refrigerator, but my favorites, I gotta throw a little bit of banana, a berry, because berries good, they're antioxidants. And then usually if I can, I would do like an apple or a pineapple. And then my secret sauce, of course you gotta do your almond milk or soy milk, whatever milk you do. Coconut milk, hemp milk. Hemp milk's really good. And then passion fruit juice. Oh my God, next level.
Wow, you just blew my mind right there.
Passion fruit juice. Yeah.
I think that is the most clutch thing I've heard this year.
Absolutely. It'll do it every time.
That's fire. Also reminds me of Africa. When I used to go back to Africa to visit my family, they always used to have this most fire passion fruit juice just like on the table, and for breakfast, like with some scrambled eggs and like this mandazi, which is like this little African pastry thing.
That sounds lit.
Fire. Brings back good memories. Yes. So if one was to ask you, Jamie, how do I protect my peace from other human beings? What are you going to say? What do you like? People speak on that so much. One thing that I plan on doing in this podcast is really attacking the memes and the random posts people post on their stories and retweet on Twitter. And I'm not trying to attack them, but I just want people to think deeply about the things they post. A lot of people will be like, I'm changing my mindset in 2021. But what's your plan for that? How are you going to do that? A lot of people are going to be like, my health is going to change in 2021. But what are you going to do? How do you plan on going about that? How do you plan to learn about that? People be like, I'm going to protect my peace from other human beings. I'm not letting anybody steal my energy. but what's your plan for that? What does that look like? So just maybe you don't have to obviously just share random advice. If you want to share what you do, that's fine. But if somebody comes to you and they're like, bro, I don't even know how to protect my peace. What does that even mean? Like, what would you say?
That is a really good question. How do you protect your peace? It's like you got this thing, let's call it a ball. And this is your only ball. If you lose this ball, you don't get another ball. You know, it's gone forever and ever and ever. And this little ball is your peace, right? So I'm going to do everything in my power to protect my peace, in a sense of, if action-wise, I'm going to speak on action. Protecting my peace looks like cutting off my social media time at a certain point. Protecting my peace is putting out content that I want to put out, that I know helps or inspires others. Protecting my peace is me saying no when I don't want to do something, instead of saying yes and manipulating the situation. Protecting my peace is doing what's best for Jay or Jamie first, always. And if I'm not okay with it, or if I got anxiety about it, or if my gut is like, nope, and I'm not for it. And 2020 taught me how to protect my peace, because I kept giving it away and losing it, and I couldn't find it. And then I found it again. And it was really hard to find. So when you have peace, you got to protect it by any means.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what clip we're pulling to post on Snapchat and Instagram when this video releases. You already know we taking that part right there. But nah, I love it. I love it. So I want to jump on your time in LA. You know, what was that like? What was that experience like? Why'd you decide to move there? What time of your life was that? And just talk to us about that experience.
Okay, that's a real mouthful, but
Let it blow.
For the culture. I had moved to Florida to help a friend and had to evacuate immediately. I had no choice but to either come back home or try my life where I really wanted to go. I wanted to go to LA from the jump, but I was like, no, I'm gonna go to Florida first, help a friend, and then go. Well, he just expedited that. So I just went to LA. Because I was like, I can't go back home, not yet. I'm not ready. So I went to LA, and that experience, that experience was something else. I moved in with a friend temporarily. Things went sour very quick, like a week after I had moved out there. And I had to move again quickly. I was like, nope, I'm not leaving LA yet. Nope, it's not going to happen. Luckily, I had a really, really dope friend of mine. Was like, hey, you crash on the couch. I'm like, go, thank you. I was like, all right, hustle shoes, let's go. I was like, I had so much money. I was like, I got to figure it out. I was applying to all kinds of jobs. Like, ultimately, long story short, I got a job, I got a place, and I was like, yes, I'm supposed to be here. So I took full advantage of being in LA. Like, the networking, the people, the culture, like the food, like that's the one thing I miss the most. Like, there's no vegan food in Kansas City, but like it is, but it's not. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
But yeah, like LA was just beautiful. It taught me that I had wings and that I could fly as much as I wanted to, as long as I remembered to not have too much weight, on me at all times. Weight meaning people that hold you down, situations that hold you down, just things that just you don't need around you. I had peace in LA. I learned a lot about the cannabis industry. I learned a lot about, the creative industry, the entertainment industry. I learned a lot, like music. I got involved in as much as I could, while I was there. And then, beautiful experience. Beautiful.
I love it. I love it. I would have the same response about my experience there. And just for our sake, listeners, you might connect. This ain't for y'all. But where'd you live? Like what part of town? Like the three different spots you was at, I think you said three different spots or two.
Yep. So I started in Pomona, California, and then went to Inglewood, and then went to Koreatown.
Love it.
And then I went back to Inglewood because I loved Inglewood. Simply Wholesome was the best.
What's crazy? It's like when I swear I'm not making this up. When I first saw your Instagram page, I was like, like, because I didn't like look at the location and all that yet, but I was just like, where do I know her from? Why do I feel like I met her at so there's this coffee shop. I'm sorry that I can't remember it right now, but if you know who you are out there and if you ever listen to this, shout out to you and the spot y'all got. But it's this coffee shop that is also an event space, and it's Black owned. It's in Inglewood. It's like in the I used to go there all the time because my brother has these events called Afro House events, and we used to throw our event there. And so I'm just like struggling to remember the name of it, but it was a dope spot. And the people there were dope. But anyways, I was like, yo, why do I feel like I know SkcatterBrain from like that coffee shop? And then I was like,
highly possible.
Hey, I mean, it might be. I don't know what years you were out there, but I'm like, yo, why do I feel like I recognize her from like being in that, like one of the many events that I went to at that spot?
I was always in some type of, at least trying to, just not necessarily to like for the clout or anything, because I was in rooms with celebrities, people with money, like, all that clout stuff.
Yeah,
but
it comes with LA if you're in the entertainment industry. Yeah,
absolutely. But it's about how you utilize the space. I always knew like I'm not one to fold in a room full of anything. You know what I'm saying? So just learning people's moves and paying attention to your surroundings, soaking up some game, not necessarily trying to take the game that's right there in front of you, but just the mental game.
I love it. I love it. I love it. In Koreatown is like the first time I ever had a boba was at like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like their boba, but it was the first day was at Kung Fu Tea, like in Koreatown. I forgot what street. I used to work there for like 4 days, and then I was like, nah, I'm good, fam. I kept having to travel from fucking, where was I coming from? Baldwin Village, Baldwin Hills. I forgot.
What? Yeah, you was traveling way too far.
I was traveling on the bus. I was going, and then I'd hop off and walk like a mile to this Kung Fu Tea and come in there. And these people would come in like and not even talk to me in English. I'm like, yo, fam, like, I don't have any problem with that. My mom's first language is not English either. So like, I'm cool. Yeah. But I was like, well, I'm tired of this shit.
I feel you.
But nah, that's dope. Me and my brother and his wife, we stayed the first time I moved out there, we stayed in Calabasas. And then from Calabasas, we were there for like 2 years. And then from there, we went to North Hollywood. And then the last place we were at was in, can't remember if it's Baldwin Hills or Baldwin Village, but either way, we were like off Fairfax, like on Fairfax. And
Baldwin Hills.
Yeah. So we were on Fairfax.
I know that area.
It was a good vibe.
Okay.
But I have one final question for you. Okay. Are you ready for this? All right.
Yes, so, I'm ready.
Imagine it's 80 years from now, and your great grandkids are sitting in front of you. You on a chair, y'all on y'all, whatever type of crib you desire, whatever. And the kids are sitting down at your feet. All of your artwork, all of your projects you've done creative direction on, every Instagram video and YouTube video you've posted has to leave with you to, wherever we go after we pass away. You're passing away that evening, and you got to tell your great grandchildren in front of you one way, or like give them one piece of advice on how to live life. What are you going to tell them? They can't see anything. They can't see anything you did in the past. So this is the last thing you get to say to them.
Okay. Last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just one sentence?
Oh, you can one paragraph.
Oh, okay. Cool. So I would tell my great whatever grandkids, like, do everything, try everything. I was always taught that you can't be a jack of all trades. You have to stick to one thing, but having multiple platforms and multiple talents is how people become millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like your great granny here. But seriously, like,
say it
just
again. You feel me?
right. So just do everything, try everything, and if you don't like it, drop it and try something else. You know, don't stick to something that you know ain't for you, and you know, hold on to the things that you know are for you.
I love it. I love it. Try shit and trust your intuition, man.
Always.
Don't let these folks
play you.
I was about to go on a rant myself. Let me chill. But I love that piece of advice. I love it.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, the Culture Talks fam, how can they support Jamie Collins? How can they support SkcatterBrain? What are some ways that they can support you? And along with that, share your socials and where they can find you as well.
Just keep creating, people. You know, I love to see people create. That's my love language. Also eating food. But yeah, just keep creating. You know, if you want to get some cool little tips and see me fall on my butt skating, come watch me on my page. You know, SkcatterBrain with the KC, because that's where I'm from. You know that, did you? Yeah. SkcatterBrain, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Smooth. See, I'm over here learning new things today. I ain't even ever noticed that. That's probably why I couldn't find you to DM you today, because I was over here typing SKA.
SCATT. Yeah, no. I put the KC in there just to, you know, homage to my town.
Love it. I love it. Hey, well, we appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you for agreeing to come on the podcast. January is all about highlighting KC creatives that I really admire and just telling their story. And yes, I've been doing that in 2020, but this month specifically was intentionally dedicated to that. So I'm glad to have you as one of the people we're going to have, you know, released this month. So thank you for agreeing to come on. Yes. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is CIZZY live action from Kansas City, Missouri, the Culture Talks podcast. You know what to do. Value your voice. Go out there, say what you got to say, do what you got to do. Like young SkcatterBrain said here. She said back in my younger days, talking about my own shorty. But anyways, like she said, man, try shit. Just keep trying shit, man. 2021 is the year of trying shit, okay, ladies and gentlemen? I want you to try shit every day. If you don't know what you want to do right now, every day you wake up, I want you to just commit 3 months to something. And then if you don't like it, drop it. Then commit 3 months to something. If you don't like it, drop it. If you know before them 3 months are up, then drop it and move on. Just try shit, especially when you don't know what you want to do. Like I said, I was going to end up going on a rant after you said that, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that down right now. Thank you, listeners, for tapping in. Please leave a 5-star review, as that's the only way we can grow. Go follow SkcatterBrain on IG. And that being said, it's love. Salud.